November the 24th, 1944. Lieutenant Colonel Robert K. Morgan advances the throttles of his B-29, leading 110 Silver Giants toward Tokyo. Hidden in each engine are devices Japan examined, copied, but could never produce. Turbo-superchargers. At 32,000 feet, Japanese fighters gasp for oxygen, their engines delivering just 60% power. The B-29s? Full power, sea-level performance in the stratosphere. One pilot will shoot down just 3 B-29s in the entire war and call it perfect circumstances. Another will deliberately ram a superfortress, dying to save his homeland from an enemy technology couldn't defeat. This is the story of how 8 small turbines made Japan's defeat inevitable. June 15, 1944, Chengdu, China. The first B-29 mission against Japan launches at dusk. 75 superfortresses take off. Only 47 reach the target at Yawata, Kyushu. 7 aircraft lost, 57 airmen dead. But even this costly raid reveals a terrifying truth. Japanese defenses are inadequate. The interception. Radar operators on Kyushu detect the formation. Air raid sirens wail. Pilots of the 4th Sentai scramble their Kawasaki Ki-45 Toryu fighters, climbing aggressively toward bombers at 8,000 to 21,000 feet. Even at these modest heights, limited by the long flight from China, Japanese interceptors struggle. Warrant Officer Sadamitsu Kimura manages to close on one B-29. Limber Dragon, 12 crew aboard. His attack succeeds. The superfortress goes down in flames, no survivors. But Kimura's lone victory costs nearly all his ammunition. His engine overheats dangerously at altitude. He barely makes it back. Around him, other pilots fire desperately. Most attacks fail. The B-29's defensive guns, controlled by advanced fire control computers, respond with devastating accuracy. Captain Teruhiko Kobayashi's report, "American bombers operate at altitudes where our fighters barely maintain level flight, let alone maneuver for combat." Their speed at altitude, 350 miles per hour, matches what our interceptors achieve above 25,000 feet. Even reaching bombing altitude costs excessive fuel. Our engines run so hot that catastrophic failure threatens constantly. What made the B-29? Untouchable? Not bigger bombs, not heavier armor, not even the guns. It was 8 General Electric Type B turbo-superchargers, 2 per engine. How they worked. Hot exhaust gases spin turbine wheels at over 20,000 RPM. These turbines drive centrifugal compressors, forcing air into engine intake manifolds at sea-level pressure, even at 30,000 feet. The principle is elegant. Waste exhaust energy performs useful work by compressing intake air. Engines burn fuel efficiently at altitudes where unassisted engines suffocate. The numbers. Each turbocharger adds 150 pounds per engine, but delivers performance equivalent to doubling engine displacement. The Wright RI-3350 produces 2,200 horsepower at 32,000 feet, altitudes where the Japanese engines deliver 650 horsepower. Without turbochargers, the B-29 would be just another heavy bomber, vulnerable, unable to use altitude as defense. Japan's desperate attempts. Japan examined captured turbochargers as early as 1941. Engineers recognized the military advantage. They spent 3 years trying to develop operational turbo-supercharged fighters. They failed completely, not from lack of skill, from lack of industrial capacity. Lieutenant Fumio Niwa's report, after examining captured B-29 turbocharger. Turbine blades machined to thousandths of an inch, balanced so perfectly they spin at maximum speed without vibration. High-temperature alloys exceed anything our industry produces. Even bearings designed for extreme heat represent manufacturing capabilities we do not possess. The production gap. General Electric, Schenectady, New York. Thousands monthly, each tested automatically, defects rejected before installation. Japanese attempts. Dozens monthly, most failing after few operational hours. The metallurgy problem. Turbine wheels operate in exhaust temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit while spinning at velocities creating thousands of pounds per square inch of centrifugal stress. Any metal imperfection causes catastrophic failure. American manufacturers possessed metallurgical expertise, precision forging, quality control. Japanese industry, stretched thin by war, could not match these standards. November 24, 1944. The first raid from Saipan. Robert K. Morgan leads 111 superfortresses against the Musashino aircraft engine plant in Tokyo. The psychological impact is profound. Unlike distant China bases, the Marianas are only 1,500 miles from Tokyo. B-29s can strike daily and return safely. American crews breathe normally in pressurized cabins. Japanese interceptors struggle with crude oxygen systems that often fail at extreme altitude. Sergeant Shoji Suzuki's diary, Anti-Aircraft Gunner, Tokyo. Initially, we engaged with confidence. Our 75mm guns fire to 25,000 feet. But American bombers fly higher, beyond range. More frustrating, even direct hits rarely bring them down. I watched crippled B-29s trailing smoke, engines shut down, continuing toward targets, often returning safely to base. Their structure, built with redundant systems and armored in critical areas, withstands damage that would shred our aircraft. Japanese fighter modifications. All failed. Kawasaki Ki-61. Hien could reach 32,000 feet but insufficient climb rate, terrible engine reliability, many grounded awaiting spare parts. Nakajima Ki-84 Hayate, 1944, Japan's best mass-produced fighter. On paper, 400 miles per hour at 20,000 feet, service ceiling 35,000 feet, heavy 20mm and 30mm cannons. In reality, poor fuel-damaged engines, crude lubricants broke down at low temperatures, manufacturing defects caused frequent failures. American pilots who test flew, captured Ki-84s after the war, praised handling and performance. But they noted these were exceptional examples maintained by skilled mechanics using hoarded high-quality materials. The average operational Ki-84 performed far below specifications. Nakajima Ki-87 High-Altitude Interceptor, designed specifically to hunt B-29s. Turbo-supercharged engine, 40,000-foot service ceiling, heavy cannons. Only one prototype flew, April 1945. The turbocharger failed repeatedly. Project died from lack of industrial capacity to produce reliable turbochargers. Major Makoto Ogawa, Japan's most successful B-29 Hunter, 7 kills. American bombers fly in a realm where our aircraft barely function. They enjoy pressurized cabins with heated compartments. We endure temperatures 40 degrees below zero. Our fingers numb despite electrically heated flight suits that rarely work. Oxygen systems frequently malfunction, leaving us hypoxic and disoriented. Gun barrels freeze. Ammunition belts jam in the cold. Engines run so rough we constantly fear flameouts. The mathematics of defeat: a fighter climbing from ground level to 30,000 feet consumes 30 minutes, burns one-third of fuel load. At altitude, performance degrades dramatically. Guns require closing within a few hundred feet of target, nearly impossible with reduced performance and B-29 defensive fire. Even successful interceptions cost irreplaceable pilots who crash attempting to return from extreme altitude. Captain Yasuhiko Kuroi's letter, 302nd Air Group. Fighting B-29s feels like attacking a fortress. Bombers absorb punishment that would destroy a dozen Japanese aircraft. Their crews are protected by armor and redundant systems. We fly unarmored fighters with vulnerable fuel tanks and minimal protection. December 1944. The ramming attacks. 86 B-29s attack the Musashino plant. Captain Kobayashi's 244th Sentai claims 6 B-29s destroyed through ramming attacks, but loses multiple irreplaceable pilots. Pilots aim fighters at B-29 wing roots or tail assemblies, hoping to destroy control surfaces, then attempt to bail out. Few survive. Technical Sergeant John McLaughlin, gunner, City of Los Angeles. I watched a Japanese fighter deliberately ram the B-29 beside us. The fighter struck the tail, shearing off the entire vertical stabilizer. Both aircraft fell in uncontrolled spins. I saw no parachutes. The B-29 crew, 10 men, died in the crash. The Japanese pilot's name was never known. One of thousands who died defending their homeland against an enemy they could not defeat. Night of March 9th to 10th, 1945. Operation Meeting House. General Curtis LeMay orders a radical change. 334 B-29s will attack Tokyo at night from 7,000 feet with incendiary bombs. The decision is controversial. Lower altitude exposes bombers to heavier anti-aircraft fire. But LeMay calculates correctly. Japanese night defenses are weak, and lower altitude eliminates turbocharger stress, engine overheating, and allows each B-29 to carry vastly more bombs. The results: in 3 hours, American bombers dropped nearly 2,000 tons of incendiaries on Tokyo's crowded districts. Firestorms develop. Winds suck oxygen from shelters. Temperatures exceed 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Casualties: Japanese, 100,000 dead, more than either atomic bombing. American, only 14 B-29s, lost 16 square miles, burned to ash. The tactical irony: even without exploiting high-altitude capability, B-29s devastate Japan. But this was only possible because turbochargers had made the B-29 force viable. Earlier high-altitude operations destroyed Japanese fighter production. Without that, low-level raids would have been unsustainable. July 1945. Battle over the Inland Sea. Japanese fighters attack a formation of over 100 B-29s. American records. Perhaps 2 bombers damaged Japanese losses. 23 fighters destroyed with minimal damage inflicted by early 1945. Japanese air defenses had collapsed. Fuel shortages grounded many fighters. Experienced pilots killed in staggering numbers, replaced by teenagers with minimal training. P-51 Mustangs from Iwo Jima, captured March 1945, made defending hopeless Japanese interceptors. Climbing slowly, became easy targets for P-51S Lieutenant Isamu Sasaki, 3 B-29 kills, one of the highest tallies. My successes came only when circumstances were perfect. Surprise attack from above, with sun behind me, against isolated bombers separated from formations. Against formations flying at altitude with alert crews, even the best Japanese pilots rarely succeeded. August 6th and 9th, 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The atomic bombs were delivered by B-29s. The Enola Gay flew at 31,000 feet over Hiroshima, altitude made possible by 8 General Electric turbochargers maintaining engine power in thin air. Even with Japanese defenses essentially non-existent, turbocharger-provided altitude offered protection against remaining anti-aircraft fire and allowed crews to escape atomic blast effects. August 14, 1945. The final mission. More than 300 superfortresses attack targets near Tokyo. No opposition. Japanese fighters remain on the ground, conserving fuel for the expected invasion that will never come. B-29 crews return to Mariana bases, not yet knowing the war is effectively over. The B-29 campaign, final numbers, 147,000 tons of bombs delivered on Japanese targets, 40% of urban industrial areas destroyed in 66 cities, 330,000 civilian casualties. Japanese war production collapsed completely by summer. 1945, Major General Arisue Seizo, Chief of Japanese Military Intelligence. By June 1945, we recognized defeat was inevitable. American air supremacy was absolute. The B-29 campaign destroyed Japan's ability to wage war. The industrial reality: a single B-29 contained 8 turbochargers. American production exceeded 200 B-29s monthly by 1945, meaning 1,600 turbochargers monthly just for new aircraft, plus thousands more for replacements. Japan couldn't have achieved this if devoting its entire aircraft engine industry solely to turbocharger production. The 4 factors that made defeat inevitable. 1. The turbochargers, sea level power at 32,000 feet. 2. The industrial system, producing thousands monthly with perfect quality control. 3. The training programs, 300 hours for American pilots versus 50 hours for Japanese 4. The supply system, keeping them functioning across the Pacific. For First Lieutenant Toshio Ota, Japanese technical intelligence officer. Examining captured American aviation technology induced despair. Every system, every component demonstrated manufacturing quality beyond our capabilities. Turbochargers particularly impressed me because their operation was conceptually simple, yet execution required precision our war-damaged industry could no longer achieve. Even had we obtained turbocharger designs in 1941, we lacked the industrial base to produce them in useful quantities. Why America alone? Succeeded. Germany developed turbochargers, but never deployed them operationally. Britain relied on sophisticated mechanical superchargers. Only America made turbo-supercharging standard equipment on heavy bombers. This reflected American industrial confidence. Turbochargers required precision manufacturing, regular maintenance, steady supply of spare parts. America possessed the infrastructure. Japan did not. The post-war legacy: Japanese engineers who examined American turbocharger technology brought hard-won understanding of advanced manufacturing to post-war civilian industries. Emphasis on precision manufacturing and quality control became hallmarks of Japan's economic miracle. Today, only 2 B-29s remain airworthy. When they fly at air shows, their Wright R3350 engines produce that distinctive deep-throated roar. Few spectators realize that hidden within engine nacelles are turbo-superchargers, survivors of technology that helped end history's most destructive war. Those components, spinning at thousands of RPM as B-29s climb toward altitude, still perform the function designed 8 decades ago, compressing air to maintain engine power in thin atmosphere. The final truth: when B-29s cruised at 30,000 feet over Japan, turbochargers spinning silently within engines, maintaining sea-level power in stratospheric air, they carried more than bombs. They carried proof that industrial might had become the decisive factor in modern warfare, and that America possessed that might in quantities no enemy could match. Japan never expected this reality, and once the silver bombers filled the skies, operating beyond defensive reach, there was nothing Japan could do to stop them. The turbo-supercharger, 8 small turbines that made a nation's defeat inevitable. The B-29 Superfortress, 147,000 tons of bombs, 66 cities devastated, made possible by a technology Japan examined but could never produce.